In the crystalline chambers of the Galactic Concordat, High Elder Vexus's tendrils rippled with concern as she addressed the emergency session. The massive amphitheater, carved from living crystal that pulsed with bioluminescent light, held representatives from over 3,000 spacefaring civilizations. But today, all attention focused on the disturbing images floating in the central holographic display. We have detected unusual technological advancement patterns from the third planet of Sol, Vexus announced, her melodic voice carrying through the chamber. The species calls themselves humans. Their rate of development is unprecedented. Admiral Chorus of the Nexary Collective leaned forward, his metallic scales reflecting the chamber's light. The Nexary had risen to power through strategic conquests, always choosing their targets carefully. Unprecedented how? He asked, multiple eyes narrowing with interest. The display shifted, showing Earth's technological progression from the first radio waves to nuclear fission, from early computers to quantum technology. They have accomplished in 2 centuries what takes most species a millennium, Vexus explained. More concerning is their response to adversity. Unlike most rational species, they become more innovative when threatened. Dar. Nixus, the Concordat's chief xenoanthropologist, stepped forward. Her crystalline form sparkled as she manipulated the display to show various human conflicts and their aftermath. They possess a unique psychological trait we've termed defensive acceleration. When faced with extinction-level threats, their technological development increases exponentially. They've survived multiple self-imposed near-extinction events, emerging stronger each time. Admiral Chorus dismissed the warnings with a wave of his armored appendage. A primitive species with primitive weapons. Their rapid development makes them an ideal acquisition target. Better to bring them under controlled development now than wait until they reach the stars. The Concordat strongly advises against military intervention, Vexus warned, her tendrils darkening with emphasis. Our simulations suggest dash. The Nexary Collective appreciates the Concordat's concern, Chorus interrupted, rising to his full height. But we have subjugated 17 species more advanced than these humans. Their psychological quirks are irrelevant against our technological superiority. In her private chambers later, Dr. Nixus reviewed her research with her assistant, Zenith. The Nexary are making a terrible mistake, she said, displaying detailed analyses of human conflict responses. Look at these patterns. When humans face overwhelming odds, they don't surrender, they innovate. They adapt. They unite. But surely the Nexary's technology Zenith began. Technology isn't everything, Nixus interrupted. The humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Every time they've faced extinction, they've survived by creating something new. Something unexpected. Aboard the Nexary command ship Inevitable Victory, Admiral Chorus reviewed the invasion plans with his strategic council. The massive vessel, nearly 5 kilometers long, led a fleet of 300 ships that would soon exit hyperspace near Earth. Our first wave will target their military installations and governmental centers, Fleet Commander Trix explained, his cybernetic implants projecting tactical overlays. Standard conquest protocol, demonstrate overwhelming force, demand surrender, eliminate resistance. Their global communication network makes targeting easier, Lieutenant Maxis added, her tentacles manipulating the holographic display. We can broadcast our demands simultaneously to all their leaders. Their nuclear weapons? Chorus inquired. Primitive fission devices, Trix dismissed. Our shields can withstand direct hits from weapons 10 times as powerful. They have nothing that can harm our ships. In the ship's xenobiology lab, junior researcher Venna studied the latest human data with growing unease. She had noticed patterns her superiors seemed to ignore. They're not just adaptable, she muttered, reviewing historical footage. They're vindictive. They remember. They plan. But her warnings would go unheeded. As the Nexary fleet prepared to exit hyperspace, Admiral Chorus stood on his command deck, admiring the holographic representation of Earth. "Begin the final approach," he ordered. "Show these primitives the futility of resistance." The massive fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their black ships absorbing rather than reflecting sunlight. On Earth, chaos erupted as detection systems worldwide registered the sudden appearance of hundreds of massive objects in orbit. In the UN Security Council's emergency session, General Olivia Russell stood before world leaders, her expression grim but determined. "Ladies and gentlemen, first contact is not going as we hoped. But humanity has faced extinction before. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and our own nuclear weapons. Whatever these aliens want, they're about to learn why no species has ever successfully conquered Earth." The Nexary fleet hung in orbit like a sword of Damocles, their weapons charging. They expected a quick surrender. They would learn, as the Concordat had warned, that humanity's greatest strength emerged in its darkest hours. The last mistake any species would make was assuming humans would accept defeat. Admiral Chorus's voice boomed across every communication device on Earth, his translated message cold and precise: "People of Earth, your planet is now under the protection of the Nexary Collective. Surrender your military forces and governmental authority within one planetary rotation. Resistance will result in demonstration strikes." In the Pentagon's underground command center, General Russell stood before a wall of screens showing military leaders from around the world. "They're giving us 24 hours, she announced. "That's 24 hours to find a weakness. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours," Admiral Chen of the Chinese Navy stated. "Our most powerful weapons can't penetrate their shields." "Then we don't hit their shields directly," Colonel Marcus Rodriguez interjected, his hands flying over a tactical display. As head of the newly formed Xenotechnology Analysis Division, he'd been studying the alien ships since their arrival. "Look at these energy readings. Their shields aren't consistent, they pulse." Dr. Priya Patel, a quantum physicist from India's Defense Research Organization, leaned forward in her video feed. "The pulses follow a pattern. They're probably linked to their power distribution system. If we could disrupt that pattern, we'd need perfect timing," General Russell mused. "And a way to coordinate attacks globally without them intercepting our communications." In orbit, junior researcher Venna approached Admiral Chorus's command station, her research tablet clutched nervously in her appendages. "Admiral, I've detected unusual activity in their underwater vessels. They appear to be hiding," Chorus interrupted dismissively. "A primitive instinct. Begin the demonstration strikes." The first Nexary attack targeted military bases across the globe. Brilliant beams of energy lanced down from orbit, but they found many facilities empty, the equipment moved to hidden locations hours before. Underground bunkers, hardened against nuclear attacks decades ago, sheltered key personnel and resources. When the Nexary ships launched their second wave against government centers, they encountered the first sign that humanity wouldn't be easily subdued. As their weapons charged, hundreds of submarines worldwide surfaced simultaneously, launching salvos of missiles modified with experimental quantum disruptors, technology that hadn't existed 24 hours ago. Most missiles were destroyed by Nexary point defense systems, but the sheer number overwhelmed their tracking capabilities. Those that got through didn't damage the ships directly, but their detonations created localized quantum fields that interfered with the precise timing of shield pulses. "Impossible," Fleet Commander Trix snarled as warning signals flashed across his tactical display. "They couldn't have developed quantum field technology so quickly." "Sir," Lieutenant Maxis reported, "we're detecting energy fluctuations in our shield grid. They're somehow matching our pulse frequency." In her lab, Venna watched with a mixture of horror and fascination. "They didn't develop it," she whispered. "They adapted it from studying our ships." On Earth, Dr. Patel coordinated with teams worldwide, analyzing data from the first counterattack. The disruption worked, but only temporarily, she reported. We need something stronger, something they can't adapt to. Colonel Rodriguez studied the sensor readings. Their ships use quantum entanglement for communication. That's why our traditional jamming doesn't work. But if we could disrupt the entanglement itself. That's theoretically impossible, Dr. Patel began, then stopped. A smile spread across her face. But so was developing quantum disruptors in 24 hours. The Nexary response was brutal. Energy beams carved through cities, targeting infrastructure and industrial centers. Millions died in the first hours. But as fires raged and buildings crumbled, humanity's response proved equally surprising. Instead of breaking, people organized. Civilian tech companies repurposed their facilities for military production. Underground networks sprung up to move supplies and information. University laboratories worked around the clock, combining theoretical physics with practical engineering in ways that broke conventional scientific paradigms. Admiral, Venna reported, her voice trembling, I'm detecting unusual radiation signatures from multiple points on the planet. They're building something, but the energy patterns don't match any known weapon type. Chorus dismissed her concerns, ordering the first ground invasion. Massive troop carriers descended through the atmosphere, their holds filled with combat robots and Nexary shock troops. They expected to find a broken, demoralized population. Instead, they found traps. In Moscow, quantum disruption fields collapsed carrier shields mid-descent, sending them crashing into prepared kill zones. In Beijing, hastily modified electromagnetic pulse weapons shut down combat robots en masse. In New York, sonic weapons based on studying Nexary communication frequencies disoriented shock troops, leaving them vulnerable to conventional counterattacks. How? Fleet Commander Trix demanded, watching another ground force report heavy losses. How are they developing countermeasures so quickly? In her lab, Venna finally understood what the Concordat had tried to warn them about. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were learning, adapting, and improving with every engagement. Their desperation drove innovation at a pace that defied conventional scientific development models. As the first day of invasion ended, Admiral Chorus received reports of mounting losses and unprecedented tactical adaptations. His certainty began to waver as he remembered the Concordat's warning, they become more dangerous when threatened. On Earth, General Russell addressed the Emergency Council. Today, we proved something vital, they're not invincible. They bleed. Their technology has weaknesses. And most importantly, they underestimate us. She gestured to displays showing new weapon designs and defense systems being developed worldwide. Tomorrow, we show them exactly how much. The Nexary had expected a simple conquest. Instead, they had awakened humanity's most formidable trait, the ability to achieve the impossible when survival demands it. And this was only the beginning. 1 month into the invasion, Professor Elena Ivanova worked in what had once been a subway maintenance tunnel beneath St. Petersburg. Now it housed one of humanity's most advanced research facilities, cobbled together from salvaged university equipment and stolen Nexary technology. Her hands moved swiftly over a dissected alien communication device as she spoke into a secure quantum-encrypted channel. The breakthrough came from their neural interface technology, she explained to the Global Resistance Network. They don't just use quantum entanglement for ship-to-ship communication, they use it to control their combat robots. If we can disrupt that connection. In orbit, junior researcher Venna's warnings had finally earned her a promotion. Now she headed a special analysis division focused on understanding human adaptation patterns. Admiral, she reported to Chorus, we've lost contact with another ground force, this time in the region they call Siberia. But the energy signatures, they're using our own technology against us. Chorus, his earlier confidence shaken by mounting losses, studied the tactical displays. 1/3 of their ground forces had been disabled or destroyed. 5 capital ships had been damaged severely enough to retreat from orbit. Most concerning were the humans' rapidly evolving countermeasures. How are they reproducing our quantum technology so quickly? Fleet Commander Trix demanded. They're not reproducing it, Venna explained. They're hijacking it. Every piece of technology we lose becomes a learning opportunity for them. Every failed attack teaches them about our weaknesses. They're not just fighting us, they're studying us. In an underground facility beneath the Arizona desert, Colonel Rodriguez worked with Dr. Patel and a global team of scientists, examining a captured Nexari combat robot. Their AI systems are actually less advanced than ours in some ways, he noted. They relied too heavily on quantum control instead of developing autonomous capabilities. Makes sense, Dr. Patel replied, her fingers flying over a holographic interface. Why invest in AI when you have instantaneous quantum control? But that dependency creates a vulnerability. If we can disrupt their quantum network, their entire command and control structure could collapse, Rodriguez finished. The resistance movement had grown far beyond military operations. Civilian tech companies worked alongside defense contractors. Hackers collaborated with physicists. Traditional enemies shared intelligence and resources. Humanity had united in ways previously thought impossible. In Tokyo, teenagers who had grown up playing virtual reality games now operated drone swarms against Nexari patrols, their gaming skills proving surprisingly effective against alien combat protocols. In Brazil, agricultural scientists used their knowledge of soil chemistry to develop new ways to detect and disable cloaked Nexari units. But the aliens were learning too. After losing several ships to coordinated attacks, they adapted their shield frequencies randomly. When humans began using salvaged quantum tech, the Nexari implemented self-destruct mechanisms in their equipment. They're getting desperate, General Russell observed during a secure briefing. Their tactical adjustments are becoming more aggressive, less calculated. They expected a quick victory, and now they're facing a war of attrition they never planned for. The turning point came from an unexpected source. In her orbital lab, Venna made a discovery that chilled her to her core. "Admiral," she reported to Chorus, "I've detected a pattern in human brain activity when they're interfacing with our salvaged technology. Their neural architecture, it's evolving. Adapting to understand and control quantum systems naturally." "Impossible," Chorus dismissed. "Neural evolution takes generations." "Not for them," Venna insisted. "Their brains are rewiring themselves in response to exposure to our technology. Every human who works with our systems becomes better at understanding them. They're not just learning our technology, they're becoming naturally attuned to it." On Earth, the evidence of this adaptation was becoming clear. Human operators were developing an intuitive understanding of quantum systems that should have taken decades to master. Children born since the invasion showed unprecedented ability to interact with salvaged alien tech. In the Resistance headquarters beneath Geneva, Dr. Victor Rossi, a leading neuroscientist, presented his findings to the Global Council. "Our brains are quantum computers," he explained. "We always have been, we just never had the technology to activate those capabilities. Exposure to Nexari quantum systems is awakening dormant neural pathways. We're not just fighting for survival anymore, we're evolving." This revelation sent shockwaves through both human and Nexari leadership. For humanity, it offered hope, proof that they could not only fight the aliens but truly understand and master their technology. For the Nexari, it represented their worst fears realized. They weren't just facing a clever enemy, but one that was actively evolving to match them. In her lab, Venna reviewed the latest neural scans with growing concern. The rate of human adaptation was accelerating. They weren't just learning to use Nexari technology, they were starting to improve upon it. She thought back to the Concordat's warning, understanding now what they had truly meant. humanity didn't just adapt their technology or their tactics, they adapted themselves. As the third month of invasion began, Admiral Chorus faced a difficult decision. His fleet had lost nearly 20% of its strength, and human resistance was growing stronger daily. But retreating now would mean admitting defeat, something the Nexari Collective had never done. "Launch full orbital bombardment," he ordered. "We end this now, whatever the cost." But even as he gave the order, new quantum signatures were appearing across Earth's surface. Humanity had not only adapted to Nexari technology, they had transcended it. The real war was about to begin. The massive quantum arrays beneath the Antarctic ice activated simultaneously, their power signatures rippling across the planet's electromagnetic field. In the command center carved deep into the ice, Dr. Patel watched as the global network she had helped design came online. Decades of human quantum computing research, combined with salvaged Nexari technology, had created something entirely new. "All stations report ready," Colonel Rodriguez announced, his voice tense with anticipation. Around the world, similar facilities powered up, each utilizing the quantum properties of Earth's magnetic field in ways the Nexari had never imagined. Admiral Chorus's orbital bombardment was about to begin when Lieutenant Maxey's noticed something strange. "Sir, we're detecting unusual quantum fluctuations from the planet's magnetic field." "Impossible," Fleet Commander Trix declared. "Their technology can't manipulate fields on that scale." In her lab, Vena's instruments were registering unprecedented readings. "Admiral," she called urgently, "these signatures, they're using Earth itself as a quantum computer." Before Chorus could respond, the attack began. But not with conventional weapons or even adapted Nexari technology. Instead, the humans launched a quantum assault that targeted the very foundation of Nexari technical superiority, their quantum communication network. Earth's magnetic field, now integrated with human-modified quantum technology, created a planet-wide disruption field. The effect was immediate and devastating. Nexari ships, dependent on quantum entanglement for everything from weapons targeting to life support, began experiencing cascading systems failures. "How?" Chorus demanded as warning lights flashed across his command deck. "How did they weaponize an entire planet's magnetic field?" Professor Ivanova, coordinating with resistance cells worldwide, explained to her colleagues, "We didn't just copy their technology, we understood why it worked. Quantum entanglement doesn't care about distance or conventional physics. By using Earth's magnetic field as a quantum conductor, we created a disruption network that affects everything in orbit." The Nexari fleet's response was chaos. Some ships attempted to retreat to higher orbits, only to find the disruption field extending far beyond Earth's atmosphere. Others tried to switch to backup conventional systems, but centuries of relying on quantum technology had left these systems atrophied and inadequate. On the ground, the effect was even more dramatic. Nexari combat units, cut off from their quantum control network, either shut down or reverted to basic programming that made them vulnerable to human counterattacks. Ground forces found themselves isolated, their superior technology reduced to little more than advanced metal and plastic. But humanity's masterstroke went beyond mere disruption. Dr. Victor Rossi, working with a global team of neurologists and quantum physicists, had discovered how to use the planet-wide quantum field to enhance human neural capabilities. Every human with even minimal exposure to Nexari technology found their quantum neural pathways activated and amplified. "The magnetic field isn't just disrupting their network," Dr. Rossi explained to General Russell. "It's acting as a quantum amplifier for human consciousness. We're not just fighting their technology anymore, we're fighting them on a quantum level." In orbit, Vena watched in astonishment as human operators began accessing and controlling Nexari systems directly, their enhanced neural capabilities bypassing security measures that should have been impenetrable. "They've done more than adapt," she realized. "They've evolved beyond our understanding of quantum physics." The counterattack came in waves. First, Resistance cells worldwide launched coordinated strikes against Nexari ground forces, using their newfound abilities to turn the aliens' own weapons and defensive systems against them. Robotic units were reprogrammed mid-battle. Shield generators protecting Nexari bases were deactivated by human operators who could now manipulate quantum fields instinctively. In orbit, the situation became dire for the Nexari fleet. Human quantum interference had rendered their advanced weapons unreliable, while Earth-based weapons, guided by operators with enhanced neural capabilities, found gaps in their defenses with uncanny accuracy. Admiral Venna reported, her voice shaking, "I'm detecting new quantum signatures. Signatures that shouldn't be possible. They're not just using our technology anymore. They're creating new applications of quantum physics that our scientists never conceived." Chorus, watching another capital ship succumb to the human assault, finally understood the true meaning of the Concordat's warning. They hadn't just underestimated human adaptability, they had failed to understand that humanity's greatest weapon was its ability to transcend its own limitations. "All ships," he commanded, his voice heavy with the weight of first-ever Nexari defeat, "prepare for emergency temporal jump. We must warn the collective." But even as the retreat order was given, Dr. Patel and her team had made another breakthrough. "Their temporal drive signatures," she announced to the Global Command. "We can track them now. Wherever they run, we can follow." In the Antarctic Command Center, General Russell watched as the Nexari fleet attempted to flee. "Let them go," she ordered. "Let them tell others what happens when you underestimate humanity." As the surviving Nexari ships engaged their temporal drives, they carried with them a message that would echo through the galaxy: Earth was not just defended, it had become something new. Humanity had not merely survived, it had emerged as a species that could adapt to and master any technology, any challenge, any threat. The war wasn't over, but its outcome was no longer in doubt. Humanity had not just beaten back an invasion, they had evolved into something the galaxy had never seen before. And they were just getting started. 5 years after the Nexari retreat, the crystalline chambers of the Galactic Concordat held another emergency session. But this time, the massive amphitheater buzzed with a different kind of tension. The central holographic display showed Earth, not as a primitive backwater world, but as the birthplace of a civilization that had revolutionized quantum physics itself. High Elder Vexus addressed the assembly, her tendrils rippling with a mixture of vindication and concern. "As we warned the Nexari collective, humanity's response to invasion accelerated their development beyond all predicted models. But none of us anticipated the extent of their transformation." The display shifted to show Earth's orbital defense network, a quantum field matrix that made traditional shields obsolete. Cities gleamed with recovered and improved Nexari technology, while new structures incorporated designs that seemed to defy physics itself. Dr. Nixis, now head of the Concordat's Human Studies Division, stepped forward. "In just 5 years, they haven't merely mastered quantum technology, they've redefined it. Their neural evolution continues to accelerate. Every human child born now possesses natural quantum processing capabilities that exceed our most advanced AI systems." In Earth's new Quantum Defense Command, housed in a structure that existed partially in multiple dimensions, General Russell met with Professor Ivanova and Dr. Patel to review the latest developments. The room's quantum interface responded to their thoughts, displaying information across multiple probability states simultaneously. "The Nexari Collective has sued for peace," Russell announced, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "They're not the first, and they won't be the last. Every spacefaring civilization within 1,000 light-years has received our message: Earth is off-limits." "It's more than that," Professor Ivanova added, manipulating a quantum simulation with a thought. "Our understanding of quantum mechanics has opened doors we never imagined. We're not just defending Earth anymore, we're expanding into the stars on our own terms." Dr. Patel nodded, her neural interface showing her the quantum calculations behind their latest breakthrough. "The first human colony ships will launch next month. They're equipped with drives that make Nexary temporal technology look primitive. We've learned to fold space in ways they never conceived. In her new role as chief ambassador to the Concordat, Venna watched Earth's progress with a mixture of awe and apprehension. She had chosen to stay, to help bridge the gap between humanity and the galactic community. Her reports to the Concordat attempted to explain what many found inexplicable: humanity's unique ability to turn invasion into inspiration, defeat into transcendence. They don't think like we do, she explained to a group of alien diplomats. Where we see limits, they see challenges. Where we seek stability, they pursue possibility. Every barrier we place before them becomes a stepping stone to something greater. The quantum revolution sparked by the invasion had transformed more than just human technology. Society itself had evolved. Traditional national boundaries became increasingly meaningless in a world where quantum entanglement allowed instant communication and transportation across any distance. The old divisions of wealth and power dissolved as quantum replication technology made scarcity obsolete. Dr. Victor Rossi, speaking at the newly established Institute for Human Evolution, addressed a class of children who had never known a world without quantum enhancement. The Nexary thought they were bringing advanced technology to a primitive world, he said, watching his students manipulate quantum fields as naturally as breathing. Instead, they awakened something that had always been within us, the ability to transcend our own limitations. In orbit, Colonel Rodriguez, now fleet commander of Earth's first deep space exploration fleet, prepared for humanity's first official mission beyond the solar system. The ships under his command bore little resemblance to the Nexary vessels that had once threatened Earth. These craft existed partially outside normal spacetime, their quantum drives capable of crossing galaxies in days. "We're not seeking revenge," he explained to his crew during the pre-launch briefing. "We're seeking understanding. Every civilization we encounter adds to our knowledge, our capabilities. We've learned that the greatest power isn't in weapons or shields, it's in our ability to adapt, to grow, to become more than we are." Back in the Concordat chambers, High Elder Vexus concluded her address. The galaxy has changed. The humans have shown us that evolution isn't just about survival, it's about transformation. They've become something new, something we've never seen before. And they're still changing. The assembly watched as the display showed the launch of Earth's exploration fleet. The ships didn't merely travel through space, they rewrote the laws of physics around them, creating new possibilities with every journey. "We warned the Nexary not to attack Earth," Dr. Nixus reflected. "We thought we were protecting them from humanity's desperate resistance. We didn't realize we were protecting them from humanity's infinite potential." The end.